Hi, I'm Diana Delapo, Quick Contour. I'm a mature artist with Seint. If you have mature skin and you like natural looking makeup, follow me, it's my thing. Today, we are talking about brushes and their different purposes. So today we're going to do an overview of the Seint brushes and just a little description of what you would use them for, how they would be used. I do have individual videos for each brush specifically with more in-depth detail about how to use them. So currently we do have rose gold handled brushes and the newest edition of the gold handled brushes. So you'll see me transitioning into those gold brushes in the near future. Previously we had gold ones, but they had brown bristles. So you may even see videos of me using those too. Let's get started with the two that I recommend the most. So when I color match you, I choose a brush for you based on the way you've answered your questions in my color match form. And it's either going to be most likely the blend brush or the 3D brush. The blend brush is for light application. You can get a medium coverage application. It's just going to take a little longer to get there. And you're just going to swirl the product on and you can build it up to whatever coverage you like. So because it is a fluffier, looser brush, you're not going to be picking up as much product when you tap into it. For example, tapping in and tapping on. So you'll have to do that more frequently if you want to build it up to a medium finish. It's also the easiest brush to get used to. Cream makeup can be a different beast. It can be something different than you're used to. If you're used to liquid foundation that just kind of runs all over your face or powder that you just press on, this is going to be a little different. So this is the easiest brush to learn because cream makeup is a thicker consistency. The tendency is to put too much on. We never want to swipe it on. So with the 3D brush, both of these are very universal. You can put your whole foundation system on with these brushes. With this one, it's more dense, so you will be picking up more product, therefore putting more product on your face. Both of them have kind of a smaller end and a larger end. You can just kind of work with both ends, feel which way you want to use them. I'm not going to go into all of that here, but we have the light application and the medium application. And then there is a full application brush. This is the buff brush. I do love this brush, but you do need to have your perfector sponge handy because it is much more dense. You're picking up more product, putting more product on, and chances are you're gonna get too much. It's gonna take a bunch of tries to get that right feel for picking up the right amount of product with this brush. And a lot of times when I still use it, because it's not one that I go to often, I do have to definitely take off excess with that perfector sponge. But I do love this brush with the little chisel end to clean up after I do my eyeshadow. Nice, you can chisel out different areas because of the way they're angled. And that's the buff brush for full application. And I wouldn't choose that brush as a starter brush. A couple of specialty brushes are the powder brush. This is for your setting powder. And the nice thing is it's made to fit right across your tile of setting powder. So it's the perfect width. And with your setting powder, you do want to press it in. So it is a dense brush. I have experimented with using the other end for my cream to only carry one brush. So I put my foundation on with one end and my powder on with the other. You never want to put a brush with cream on it into your powder. It's just going to contaminate it. But primarily this is for your setting powder. The fluffier flat end is really nice for powdering your T-zone or if you want to keep your blush in place. So that's the powder brush, and you can get that with the Vanilla Dust setting powder as a collection and save 20% on the pair. And that's the same thing with the Blush Plus bronzer brush. When you get it as a collection with your bronzer of your choice, it's 20% off. It's like getting the tin of makeup for free is how I feel. And that's how I got hooked on this brush. I bought the brush collection and it includes 7 of the brushes. It doesn't have these 2 brushes or the eyeshadow brush. So it came with all the others. I wanted to try this brush and that's how I fell in love with the bronzer. Actually, I figure, well, if I buy the collection, it's almost like getting the bronzer for free. And I am so glad I did. I typically will use the blush end for putting on my main foundation shade, my main highlight, because it is a little bit bigger than like the 3D brush. So I can put it on a little quicker, and it is a medium coverage, not quite as dense as the 3D. So it is multi-purpose. I'm going to add another brush to this and show you my 2 favorites. And the other end is perfect for your cream bronzer. I know it looks like a regular fluffy makeup brush, but this is made for cream products. So as you tap into your bronzer, it's going to put it on your skin in a nice consistency. It's not going to be patchy. If you've got a powder brush, one of these fluffy brushes that are meant for powder, chances are it's going to stick in there and grab, and you're going to get a patchy look. So if you're ever having problems with your makeup and you're not using the Seint brushes, grab one brush. It's going to make a huge difference. Your whole foundation can be put on with just one brush. And our last brush I want to talk to you about for foundation shade is the detail brush. This is kind of a flat fanned end, and I'll use that for contour. You can use both ends for contour, but it's called the detail brush, and I find it's great for detail work. The little end, I like to use that actually for brightening, the other end for contour, but you know what? You can play around with both ends. You can even put your whole foundation on with this brush. Going back to the Blush Plus bronzer brush, if I was to recommend 2 brushes, I would say these 2 would be my favorite because, like I said, contour, brightening highlight, main shade, blush, bronzer, you've got everything covered. But if you want one brush, light application. If you want one brush, medium application, perfect. Now let's get on to just a couple of the smaller brushes. And the one that also isn't included in your brush collection is the eyeshadow brush. This is a very affordable brush. I have multiples of them. You get 2 brushes in one, and it's pretty much the only brush that I use for my eyeshadow application. It does everything. So that's the eyeshadow brush. I do use the line brush every day because I've got terrible brows. I comb them into place. I use my contour with the angled end and fill and shape my brows. That's the line brush. You can also use the spoolie end to comb through your lashes, but there's also the travel spoolie, which is nice. I don't know if that's a limited edition or not. The smudge brush. The smudge brush and the multitasker brush, these are 2 brushes that I would recommend having 2 of, keeping one for powders. So this is great for eyeshadow, but I love it for cream, for doing spot treating. Like I've got a sunspot that I want to tap in a little extra color corrector to. And this one too, you can use it. I like the density of it for shimmer shades, eyeliner, but then for lips too. Even contouring, getting used to contouring your nose. All these brushes are multi-purpose, but like I said, if you're gonna do powders and creams, you wanna clean in between, or you wanna keep one dedicated for creams, one for powders, and then you're not gonna contaminate your powders. The newest brush to the collection is the etch brush. So this is great for a little detail work around the eyes. I like to stamp in my eyeshadow for eyeliner. Or the smudgy end is great for lining under the lashes. Just play around with it, figure out what you want to do with it. I do love 2 brushes for eyeshadow. I primarily use the eyeshadow brush and the etch brush. And then there are 5 brushes. They're called the demi brushes. I do use the shape brush for my blush. It's kind of a fluffier brush, kind of between the blend and the 3D. Actually, it's kind of like the Blush Plus bronzer brush, but I find it's a little bit smaller and it's a nicer size for my cheeks. I have it, so I just kind of dedicate it for my lip and cheek shade. The wash brush, I really don't use very often. It's very similar to the blend brush. It's just a little softer. I do like it for powder illuminator, so you can just kind of just feather it on. The spot brush, great for spot treating, lining. I use it for lining my lips with the suede lip liner. Can be used for eyeshadows. And then the two other brushes with Demi, I really don't use them much, but it's nice to have them handy. Likely eyeshadows, again, or spot treating little areas with your foundation shades. Other than that, you want to keep your brushes clean. The dry brush spray is the best way to keep them clean. You can use your brushes immediately. You want to spray a towel with your spray and just swirl it around. It will remove any excess makeup. If you have too much makeup on your brushes, the makeup's going to stick to your brushes. It's not going to give you a nice smooth finish on your face. So keep them clean. The least that you have to put water into your brushes, the longer your brushes are going to last. These bristles are glued into the handles, and you want to avoid getting them wet very often. I would say every 2 months, I might use the brush cleaning soap, and it comes with the handy scrubby pad. So I'll just let the water drip on there and swirl my brush around and let it kind of drain off. And then I'll just kind of roll it between my hands, try to get as much water off as I can and lay them flat on something high so that it's elevated, and let them air dry. They do have to dry overnight when you use the soap, so that's a downfall as well, besides not wanting to get them wet in their necks. I hope this clarifies some of the brush dilemma. Like I said, when I color match you, I do recommend a brush for you, but the more brushes you have, the more fun it is, the more you'll get comfortable with your makeup. It's entirely up to you. If you want one brush, 2 or 3, just let me know and I can make some recommendations for you. And if you do want more information on how to use each brush individually, you can go ahead and look through my library and find videos for each brush. I'm Diana Delapo. Follow me for more tips with your Seint products.